I've been wanting to make this video for a few years now, and I think you're all gonna really enjoy it. This video about Trailboss USA and the trail they build and maintain covers 3 distinct themes. First up, the conception of such cool, purpose-built tools is really neat. Well, not only is that neat to just have that idea, but building these tools in the USA is also super cool. Everything is made here in Bellingham, Washington, and if something's not made locally, then it's sourced as close to local as possible.
This was the reason I adopted the trail. All that was floating in water one day.
Not only do these products enable riders to better maintain trails, but Trailboss USA has stepped up to adopt and maintain a critical connector trail on our local mountain. All in all, if this is mountain bike entrepreneurship, I think it's pretty darn cool.
That was the goal of the whole thing, was to make a packable tool that is light enough that you're willing to pack it, but strong enough you can use it like a regular tool. You don't have to think too much.
I think this is the right place. Hello. Hey, Bill. Good to see you.
You too.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right.
This is Logan.
Yeah, hey, Logan. There wasn't a real specific start to it. It was more of a progression. I've been working on trails, doing stuff with trails since I was a teenager. I discovered mountain biking in about 1999. Discovered, to my great joy, that there's this really strong no dig, no ride ethic in the mountain biking community. And I was like, I'm in. Cool. So yeah, I just started joining groups of people working out in Southern California in the Santa Ana Mountains. I had been working on my own tools, just basically taking wood handle tools and cutting them and trying to make joints that held them together. And moved up here, bought some machine tools just for my own entertainment, and was making some bike parts and fiddling around with stuff to make, and kind of hit on the idea, oh, I could make like a cool handle for myself. And that was where I started doing that.
So these are...
That's like Gen A and B, let's call them.
Sweet. Made in roughly, what, 2005?
Or earlier maybe. This one was earlier than that.
So like you can totally see the development here. Prototype number
one. I don't know what it is. Yeah, there were maybe some things not like that beforehand, but.
So you find this design and you're into it, and then it morphs itself to getting another 2 more of the little teeth and a little bit more low profile. Wild.
We're getting warm. It's officially summer here. Today is gonna be one of the hottest days on record thus far, 2022. So as we're out here riding, filming, having a good time, we're sweating. And as you sweat, you lose electrolytes. Electrolytes are what conduct the electrical impulses from your brain to all of your muscles. I just noticed I was getting tired of hitting the section trail, wasn't stoked on it, and I mentioned I was a little bit low on energy. That's one of the things that can happen when you're a touch low on electrolytes. You end up being a touch sluggish compared to when you're fresh. So, by drinking some more electrolytes, I'm gonna fix that before it gets any worse. I just finished my first bottle, probably gonna do 2, of Element electrolytes. Element's a really simple mix of sodium, potassium, magnesium, tiny bit of stevia extract to make it sweeter. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the product. Generally, I've found that 1 bottle goes way further in terms of its actual performance than multiple bottles without electrolytes added to them. If you guys are curious to try Element, I have a link in the description below over to the Element website, and Element's including a free sample pack with any purchase. That link is drinkelement.com/Jeff, Jeff. I've been using this stuff for about a year now, and I'm a fan of it. It's good. I think you guys might like it too. Thanks to Element, and thanks to all of you for supporting my channel. We visited the Trailboss headquarters here in Bellingham and got a first-hand look at all the various tools these guys make. It's pretty cool to see simply the wide variety of tools these guys have thought of, even including a packable wheelbarrow. To learn more about these tools, we followed our rake all the way through its cycle of production.
So the 2 pieces are the adapter that screws onto the handle, that blue thing here, and then the rake itself. Comes in first as a big sheet of steel. They cut this shape out on the laser cutter. And then the first operation we do is put that countersink in. And then the next operation is to actually mount it on this machine, where we put the edge on it. So then the next thing that happens with this is it goes to welding. So it gets this little metal tab welded on.
Then from welding to powder coating.
Powder coating, and then from powder coating, comes over here. That's the coupling, assuming this is finished and powder coated and has a tab welded on it. Drops onto here, prime it, put Loctite on it.
Oh, you prime it, look at that. I've never heard of Loctite primer.
all three of these sections are pretty much made the same way, except this gets a grip on one end. There's a handle segment. It's got some pieces to it. Coupling, collar. There's a O-ring right there. There's a little spring washer down inside here.
Oh.
Gives it some tension when you screw them together.
Okay.
And then a piece of fiberglass. We start out as a piece of 4-foot fiberglass tube that comes from our friends at Creative Pultrusions.
Very different than what I get at the hardware store for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They get cut here into whatever lengths we're making. From there, the end gets prepped inside this station here, where we prep it for bonding. They all get washed off so that they're ready for applying epoxy to. And then the next thing that happens is this little aluminum insert gets bonded on the inside.
And that adds a ton of strength, rigidity.
In the critical place.
Yeah.
And then we bond the two couplings onto the end one at a time. It's a slow cure epoxy. It takes 48 hours to cure.
Oh, wow.
This is steel one.
Holy cow. So
That's chromoly steel tube.
whenever I think of Trailboss, I think of the fiberglass sections. So you make this chromoly one. Why are they not all chromoly? Why are they not all fiberglass?
So this has a real specific application, and we developed it for the Forest Service. Forest Service role, they also are quite often first responders to fire events. So they wanted something that was fire resistant. Fiberglass, as most of us know, is plastic.
Yeah.
It does grade up to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Much over that, it will melt. So yeah, that's the steel section.
Cool.
And we recommend that if somebody's digging in rough conditions, real rocky conditions,
Okay.
or they're going to be using a shovel or a pick.
One steel section or all steel sections?
One steel section. That's
One,
all, pretty much
right
all
down
you
by
need.
the head.
Yeah, one steel section down by the head. The others can be fiberglass, and that
Okay.
gives you kind of a best of both worlds. If
Yeah.
you have a bunch of steel sections in there, the tool can be very harsh.
So before coming down here and seeing all this, I pictured Trailboss tools as being like, you carry it, you use it when you're out there, and that's it, like kind of lighter duty tools. But now that we've seen a lot of this up close and personal, I think they're almost like more heavy duty than a lot of the regular store-bought.
You can lean on it pretty good.
Yeah.
That was the goal of the whole thing, was to make a packable tool that is light enough that you're willing to pack it, but strong enough you can use it like a regular tool. You don't have to think too much.
So I was hoping we could go ride with you on Bandito, and you could show us the Trailboss trail.
Sure.
Ride
You won't
it.
need to use slow-mo on your camera.
Bill, thanks for showing us your trail here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think it's really cool that this is a critical connector for Galbraith, connecting from the north side to the south side. This is what to me makes a mountain bike riding area particularly good, when you can bypass access road and hit single track. Thank you for maintaining it.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't really make it. It's,
Sure.
it's a real old, one of the old original trails. We started working on it probably 6 years ago or so, 6 or 7 years ago, but a number of people have worked on it. We were trying to figure out who might have originally built it, and we're not really sure. Different logging activities up here change the drainage.
Yeah.
Every time it happens, the drainage changes on the trail. That was one of the big ones when they put this access road in and put these big culverts in. That changed completely where the water went.
And speaking of WMBC, I meant to ask, you were on the board of WMBC at one point?
On the board for a few years, yeah, and then I was the board president for the last couple of years. I was on the board.
Okay.
And just stepped down at the end of last year. Bandito's a fun trail because it's old, and it's always been twisty, turny, rooty. It's always been that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people here who've been here for a number of years longer than I've been here, who have an affinity for this trail. They really love it. And so when we took it over, it was interesting, because doing maintenance on an old trail that a lot of the original people in town know and love and ride it a lot, everybody's got their favorite route.
Yes.
And every favorite route is a different route.
Yes.
When that stuff starts to break down and you start to change it, there's at least one person out there who was like, don't touch that. That's my favorite route, right? And so you got to be, you should be somewhat diplomatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you try your best, but it's you never end up winning with everyone, so it's always a tough juggle.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's drop in and check this thing out, going the other same direction that we just went.
Little known fact, but this half-mile trail is actually within about 25 feet of elevation from the beginning to the end. It's basically a flat connector trail.
Bandito, adopted by a Trailboss.
The trail was little bit further that way and right through here. And when they put the road in up there, it changed the way the water flowed.
Okay.
So the water was now coming down here, and this was a river right here. We ended up doing was pretty much just making a creek right here. So when the water is flowing, it just flows right across there.
Right in this low point right here.
Right through that low ditch, but that low ditch wasn't there. That was the trail tread that was just all muddy. And so the solution for that was to basically turn that into a creek crossing.
Okay.
And bump the trail up here and fill in with dirt for all these roots just to create the tread coming through here so that the water would just flow down it.
Sure.
I'm not a fan of culverts.
Yeah.
You know, if the water's got to flow across the trail eventually, I really just like making a creek crossing. I find that much more pleasant than burying a piece of plastic in the ground.
Yeah, more mountain bikey.
Yeah, and they're mountain bikes, huh?
So did you build these bridges?
This was the reason I adopted the trail. All that was floating in water one day, and I just said that can't stand.
This will not stand, you know?
Yeah, show us these
Yeah,
bridges.
so just the 3 bridges. There's a bunch of water that comes through here, of course, in the fall, winter, spring. And so we were calling it Rio Bandito.
So that was impetus number 1 for the sponsorship.
That was what really said, yeah, we need to do something. And that was the point where I was like, God, we can do better than that.
Yeah.
maybe Trailboss should actually sponsor this trail, and we'll go to work on it. And
Good morning.
Enjoying the trail?
Looking good.
Nice job.
Go get them. Have fun, guys. Have fun. Cool.
Thanks, man.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
So fun to see.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I remember mountain biking was like illegal. It's like you can go to the trails to ride bikes, shoot guns, ride motorcycles, whatever. You don't bring children there.
Yeah,
now
right.
it's like totally different.
Completely different. It gives me great joy, actually, to see kids out.
The next generation and all that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite aspects of Bandito is that it still has some somewhat technical little route sections. Here's a good little example.
Phew. Nice. I don't know, maybe. Oh, you got it! Nice! Cool. There's totally a jump here now. Wow. I thought manualing this would be cool, but that's way hard. Oh, I skidded and I didn't make my turn. I go super slow.
This was thinned pretty heavily a few years ago. Even before that is when the trail used to run down through here, but now that's all a swamp now, so it can't go there anymore. Somebody else had started bringing it up this way to get it out of the swamp.
Okay.
But it was very, very rough. So we just started working on it. The thing I did, which is what I like to do when I put stuff in, is we actually worked on chipping away this old piece of this old stump here just to make enough of a wide spot that I could climb up it.
Fair. Well, it doesn't get. I mean, it doesn't destroy the trail for anyone else to make a little.
Yeah, we left this in. So this ended up being, a lot of people climb up that.
Totally.
It's also the way down.
Yeah.
But others can kind of, work on this a little bit. Takes a little bit to get around it.
Sure. It's 2 options.
It's worth mentioning that this strategy has prevented the trail from becoming braided or extra wide around the whole obstacle from the get-go.
I learned how to build bridges from a bunch of other guys who build bridges on Galbraith.
Okay.
We have a decent amount of them because we have to deal with so much water.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of got hooked up with builders who were really focusing on woodwork. I have a little bit of experience in construction, and it's really different when you're kind of basing things more like timber framing. Yeah, plus the techniques have gotten a lot more modern, even with, these rustic rural bridges. A lot of us now are using like lag screws. We do that because they hold better than spiral cut galvanized nails. They're removable. And they last a hell of a lot longer. And it really does a better job of keeping the bridges in place because they have a washer head on top of them. We've all really tried to focus on the bridges that we build, building them really, really tough. We want to see like 15-year lives out of these bridges, which is why we strip all the bark off because they last a lot longer that way. We try and make them between 1.5 inches and 2 inches thick. We like to cut them a little wider depending on the trail. And also, you know, Galbraith is a mixed use area, so we get a lot of horses. So yeah, kind of as a practice, we work really hard to build bridges that'll be strong enough to let someone cross it on a horse, wide enough for someone to cross it on a horse. And then there's other bridges that are built for, you know, more fun endeavors where horses aren't going and stuff like that.
Our local advocacy group, the WMBC, has a program for our local mountain here where local companies or individuals can adopt a trail and maintain it. It's called the Trail Adoption Program, and I think it's a really cool model. The WMBC has so impressed me over the years that they were the inspiration for my local Loam series.
I probably have the most hours in this.
Wow.
Because this was always a swamp.
Yeah.
And it's a swamp on both sides, and it's relatively level. So it's really hard to drain. So there's been a lot of hours lowering the surround around the tread, because otherwise we have to bring dirt in to raise the tread.
Yeah.
So it was easier to just dig out on either side, and lowering that, which just, you know, by default raises the tread here, gets the water to go somewhere else. And then Janicki did a big logging operation in here, and this area over here on this side, there wasn't a lot of logging, but they were driving skidders through here, created this giant basin that filled up with water. It was just a mess. It was just a bomb zone over there. And it would just wick up from the bottom, and the trail was just wet all the time. And so you either get above the water or you make the water go away.
Sure.
And so I bashed around in here and found the low point of that pool, worked my way back up to where the pool was, and there was like a bunch of logs and branches and crap all damming everything up. And so I sort of dug this all out and made a channel and rocked it in and sent it down to drain down there, and then came up and broke the dam and drained to that giant pool, and then the trail got dry.
Nice.
I first heard of Trailboss a good 10 years ago or so when Transition Bikes accidentally released a massive video about the company. Let me know in the comments, are you guys familiar with Trailboss USA and the tools they make?
I'll back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about my introduction to Trailboss. I think it was 2012 at the String Band Jamboree, but a friend was talking with Bill, and they're sitting on the ground at this festival.
Yeah.
And I look, I see the Trailboss, and I immediately see the couplings. Thought, holy shit, for once, finally, after however long man has been alive and needing a tool that's packable, this actually might work. Bill was silly enough to hire me to help him out on a contract basis. I was consulting then, and then ended up working here full time. And so the task of building a brand identity for Trailboss was very fun for me. And pretty straightforward, because you take the piece of this tool that is most distinct. Nobody has a look like this. And so yeah, I tried to build an identity that was balanced and send a message about what the tool is and how it's different from other tools. Enjoying the trail?
Yeah.
Good. Cool. And then we just recently put this up when we did the bridge. We installed this. We thought about drilling into it. Well, first of all, we don't like...
Yeah, there's no screws through that side.
No, I know. We use Trailboss bonding techniques. That is very much a secret sauce. And most importantly, we don't have to screw the sign into a live tree, which I very much opposed to in all instances. For me, the signage really is a clear indicator of the care that the land manager and the volunteers, etc., their level of care for the place, for the environment.
And it's an extra incentive. If your logo is going to be on this sign, you want your trail to be in good shape, so you're going to come through and do a decent job. I think it's really cool. I want to see that happen all over.
Me too. Thanks for filming.
Thanks for showing us around.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is wonderful. Been really good. Yeah, I think the more we can get people to understand the importance of working on trails and having nice trails for everybody to use, very important.
Totally.
Yeah.
And this is what makes a trail zone go from like a fun trail to an entire zone, is connectivity that's actually fun.
Right. Fun is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you guys want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and leave me a note in the comments below. Would that trail adoption program work on your local trails? All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks to Trailboss. See you guys in the next video.